Yes, hello, ma'am.
Shall we start now, sir?
Yes, we can. Actually, I haven't got the access to share my screen.
Okay. Hello.
Yes, even now it's not working.
Okay. Okay. Hello, everyone. Present here virtually. I am Nita here, and I welcome you all the today's session, which is titled as fundraising strategies for startups. And presenting this session, we have with us our today's expert, Mr. Ayush Kumar, working in organization, UTMS organization, Ayush Kumar, and entrepreneur with over 4 year experience in the growing his organization. Is a speaker at the webinar on fundraising strategy for startups. And presenting this session, we have with, sorry, without visiting so much time, I am welcome to Mr. Ayush Kumar Ojha. You may start now, sir.
Okay, hello, ma'am. By the way, I haven't got the access to share my screen, so I was waiting for that.
1 minute, sir. हेलो.
Yes, ma'am. Still
हाँ
it's
सर,
not
आपने क्या
working.
बोला?
हाँ, मैम. एक्चुअली मेरे को परमिशन आई थिंक मिला नहीं है. होस्ट डिसेबल्ड पार्टिसिपेंट स्क्रीन शेयरिंग दिखा रहे हैं.
ओके, मैं
Yes, hello, ma'am.
Shall we start now, sir?
Yes, we can. Actually, I haven't got the access to share
नवीन
my
त्याची
screen.
स्क्रीन दिसत नाही म्हणून तुम्हाला नाही. हेलो. सर, आपकी स्क्रीन शेयर नहीं हो रही है क्या?
हाँ, यस मैम. वो प्रॉब्लम आ रहा है. एक्चुअली दिखा रहा है कि होस्ट डिसेबल करके रखा है स्क्रीन शेयरिंग.
अच्छा अच्छा, हाँ, 1 मिनट सर, 1 मिनट. सर अभी ट्राई कीजिए, अभी हो जाएगा, मैंने परमिशन दे दी.
ओके. यस, अभी वर्क कर रहे हैं. ओके. यस, मेरा स्क्रीन विजिबल है मैम.
यस यस सर, विजिबल.
ओके. Okay, so let's start the session. So first, let me tell you the webinar is based on fundraising strategies for startups. And so we'll cover all the aspects over here, which is actually also mentioned in table of contents. So before starting the session, I would like to introduce myself. I would not waste much of the time. So my name is Ayush Kumar Ojha, and currently I'm working in SSUTMS organization with 4 years of experience and having a good experience in entrepreneurship. So, okay, now let's move to the next slide, that is table of contents. So we'll see what exactly are we going to see in this webinar and the topics that we are going to cover. So we'll understand different funding stages. Then we'll see preparation or preparing for fundraising. And after that, types of investors. Then once you identify the type of investor you want for your business, you'll move to approaching investors. Then next will be negotiation and closing the deal. So now you have actually approached to the investors. Now how you gonna talk to them? How you gonna close the deal? So we'll see that. And next will be post-funding strategies. So as soon as your funding gets approved, so what will be the next move? What exactly are we going to do? So we'll cover that in post-funding strategies. And next we'll see Q&A session. Basically, that would be based on the frequent asked questions that we have on this topic. And after that, we'll conclude the session. So, okay, now let's move ahead. So, let's understand different funding stages. So, there are basically three types of stages that we have. So, it's seed funding, second one is series A, B, C, and beyond. And the third one is equity versus debt financing. So, what is seed funding? So, the first stage that we'll discuss is seed funding. This is typically the initial capital raised to develop your business and idea. And basically, we create a prototype or MVP, which is a minimum viable product. So, seed funding often comes from personal savings, family, friends, or angel investors who believe in your vision and mission and are willing to take on higher risk. So, this stage is crucial as it lays the foundation for your startup and helps validate your concept. Now let's move to the second type of funding stage, that is Series A, B, C, and beyond. So this mentions that we have three types of funding rounds, which are used to scale the business and expand them and enter into the new markets. So each round has its unique requirements and expectations from investors. So Series A focuses on scaling product development and market reach. Series B focuses on growing the user base and enhancing the product. And Series 3 on scaling globally and optimizing operations. Now, understanding the nuances of each round is essential for planning a fundraising strategy. So, and that was also one of the reasons why we went through these of the stages that we have to get the funding for our startups. Now, moving to the next slide, that is okay. I think we have missed equity versus debt financing. So let's cover that. So this is the third funding stage that we have, that is equity versus debt financing. So it's important to understand the difference between equity financing and debt financing. The reason is equity financing involves raising capital by selling shares of your company, which means giving up a portion of ownership. This can be beneficial as it doesn't require repayment and aligns investors, which interests with your success. Now, what is debt financing? So, for debt financing, it's on the other hand, which involves borrowing money that must be repaid with interest. This can be advantageous as it doesn't dilute ownership, but it requires careful management of cash flow to meet repayment obligations.
मी हे तुला शेअर केलं.
Now, moving to the next slide, that is preparation for fundraising.
शेअर केलं.
So,
सगळ्या ग्रुपमध्ये शेअर
basically, so we'll cover 3 points over here.
चेक करशील
So, to
का?
prepare for fundraising, we'll cover 3 points. That is creating a business plan, financial projections, and building a pitch deck. So, let's talk about creating a business plan for the preparation of fundraising. So, plan. This is the first step in preparing for fundraising. So, what we do is to create a comprehensive business plan. This document outlines a business model, market analysis, strategic goals, and financial
अरे
projections.
ते पडली.
A well-crafted business plan demonstrates to investors that you have a clear vision and a solid strategy for achieving your goals. It, it should address key questions such as what problem your startup solves, how it intends to solve it, and why it is uniquely positioned to succeed. Next is financial projections. So let's talk about financial projections. So it is basically to develop detailed financial projections where investors want to see your revenue forecasts, expense estimates, and profitability timelines. These projections should be realistic and based on sound assumptions. So they have a roadmap for how you plan to grow the business and achieve financial sustainability. So accurate financial projections build investor confidence and help set clear expectations for future performance. Now, next is building a pitch deck. So lastly, build a complete, compelling pitch deck. This presentation should highlight your business plan, financial projections, and the unique value proposition of your startup. A pitch deck typically includes slides on the problem solution, the market opportunity, the business model, competitive landscape, traction, team, and financial. It's a primary tool for engaging potential investors and should be concise, visually appealing, and persuasive. Now remember, the goal is to tell a compelling story that captures the investor's interest and motivates them to learn more. Now, moving to the next slides, since it covered preparation for fundraising, like what exactly we have to do to prepare for the fundraising. So, we created a business plan, financial projections, and in the end, we summed up by creating a pitch deck to present to the investors. Now, let's move to the next slide and talk about investors. What all are the types of investors that we have? So first one is angel investor, second is venture capitalists, third is crowdfunding platforms, and the fourth one is government grants and loans. So let's talk about angel investors. So angel investors are individuals who provide capital startups in exchange for equity. They often invest in early stages and can offer valuable mentorship and industry connections. So, angel investors typically look for innovative ideas with a high growth potential and are willing on to take more risk than institutional investors. Building a relationship with an angel investor can be incredibly beneficial for your startup, providing both funding and strategic guidance. Now, next is venture capitalists. So, venture capitalists, we also call in short from VC. They are the professional investors who manage pooled funds from multiple sources. They typically invest larger amounts into startups with high growth potential and a proven business model. VCs conduct through diligence and look for startups with scalable products, strong teams, and significant market opportunities. So, securing venture capital can provide substantial resources for scaling a business, but it also comes with expectation for rapid growth and significant returns. Now, next is crowdfunding platforms. So, crowdfunding platforms, this is the most common term that we use, and I think this is the most common one which we actually see around. So, and you can hear about this. So, crowdfunding platforms, it allows startups to raise small amounts of money from large number of people, usually through online campaigns. And this method can be particularly effective for consumer-facing products with mass appeal, and platforms like Kickstarter, Indiegogo, and Seeders enable you to reach a broad audience, validate your startup, and generate early sales. Now, successful crowdfunding campaigns require careful planning, engaging storytelling, and effective marketing to attract people. Now, next is government grant and loans, which is actually a bit difficult to have a good base to actually prove, and it actually applies for all the investors. This is what I feel. So, government grant and loans. So, this is the additionally part that we have over here. So, this explores the government grants and loans, which can provide non-dilutive funding to support your startup's growth. Now, grants and loans are often available for specific industries, research and development, or we call R&D, or initiatives that align with government priorities. And that was the reason I said it is a bit difficult to actually get this investor on board. So also it takes a lot of time. So this is also one of a point. So these funds can be a valuable source of capital without the need to give up equity. However, the application processes can be competitive and time consuming, as I said. So that's the thing. So it's important to thoroughly research available programs and understand the eligibility criteria. So let's move to the next slide. Since we understood how we have to, we understood different types of funding stages. Then we saw how we have to prepare for fundraising. After that, we saw types of investors that we have, like to whom can we approach. So these are types of investors. Now let's move to the next slide, that is approaching investors. Now you got to know what all kinds of investors do we have. Now, how will you approach them? So we'll discuss over here. So the first point is researching potential investors. Second is networking and building relationships. And the third is crafting the perfect pitch. Okay, now let's talk about researching the potential investors. So, we'll start by researching potential investors who align with your industry and business model. Look for those who have a track record of investing in similar startups. Now, that could also be a challenging since they have expertise to spend on the same startup. But again, it could be a conflict of interest. So we have to keep that point in mind too. So what happens is this targeted approach increases your chance of finding investors who are genuinely interested in your business and can provide valuable support funding beyond just funding. Now, second is networking and building relationships. This is the best approach that we can have to actually onboard the investor. So, networking is crucial. Attend industry events, join startup incubators, and leverage online platforms to connect with investors. Now, building relationships with investors takes time and effort. So, start early and be proactive. Establishing a rapport with potential investors can make a significant difference when it comes to the pitch. So, remember, investors often invest in people as much as in ideas. So, demonstrating your commitment and expertise is the key that we have. Now, let's move to the third point to approach investors, and that is crafting a perfect pitch. So, when it's time to pitch, focus on crafting compelling story that highlights your vision, traction, and the problem that you're solving. And the way you are approaching to the problem, that should be significant, that aligns with your vision and mission of the company and also with the investors' uh, mindset. Now, tailor your pitch to the interest and concerns of each investor and be sure to convey your passion and commitment to your startup success. Now, next is okay, since we covered all these points, now moving to the next slide, that is negotiation and closing the deal. So we understood types of investors, how to approach them. Now, how to close the deal, how to actually, interact with them in the sense we can have a done deal. So, okay, so it will be first point will be valuation and equity distribution. Second will be term sheet and legal considerations. And the third one will be finalizing the investment. Now, why we are covering this point? The reason behind that is since we got to know our investors, we also pitched like how and we understood what all things do we have to mention to onboard the investors. Oh, how exactly are you going to communicate and what will be the ideal scenario that is going to happen? So that's what we are actually talking about over here. So let's talk about valuation and equity distribution. So negotiating your startup's valuation and equity distribution is actually a crucial step. So be prepared to justify your valuation with data and market comparisons. So you actually have to research about this. Next is understand the implications of equity dilution and ensure that the terms are fair and beneficial for both of the parties. It should be mutually exclusive for both the parties. So it's important to strike a balance between securing the necessary funding and maintaining control of your company. And now moving to the second point to close the deal, and this will be term sheet and legal consideration. So basically, these three are the steps, that is valuation and equity distribution, term sheet and legal considerations, and finalizing the investment. So these are the process to close the deal. Now let's talk about the second process, that is term sheet and legal considerations. So, reviewing the term sheets and legal considerations is essential. Term sheets outline the terms and conditions of the investment, which includes valuation, equity distribution, board seats, and investor rights. So ensure you understand all the terms and seek legal advice if necessary. Having a legal team is a must to go. So paying attention to these details can prevent future conflicts and ensure a smooth investment process. Okay, now we'll see the third uh, step to close the deal, that is finalizing the investment. So once the terms are agreed upon, finalize the investment by completing all necessary documentation and receiving funds. So this process may involve additional diligence, legal review, and negotiations. So stay organized and responsive to ensure a timely and efficient closing. After the funds are secured, it's time to focus on executing your plans and delivering on the promises that you made to your investors during the pitch. And yes, so this is about finalizing the investment. Now, moving to the next slide, that is post-funding strategies. So, since we got to know what kind of investor we have to approach, what we have to present them, and what will be the steps that we'll have to follow to close the deal. Now, the scenario is we have got the deal. Congratulations for that. Now, the thing is, what will be the post-funding strategies? So this will be first will be effective use of funds. Second will be reporting and communication with investors. Third is scaling the business. So let's talk about effective use of funds. What does that mean? So after securing funds, it's crucial to use the funds effectively. Allocate resources to key areas such as product development, marketing, and hiring. Prioritize spending that will drive growth and help achieve your business milestones. Regularly monitor your financial performance and adjust your strategy as needed to ensure you are making the most of the capital raised. Second point is reporting and communication with investors. So, maintain regular communication with investors. Provide updates on progress, financial performance, and any challenges that you face through the journey. Transparent and proactive communication builds trust and keeps investors engaged. Consider scheduling regular meetings or sending detailed reports to keep investors informed and involved in your startup's journey. Now, next point is scaling the business. So, focus on scaling the business. Use the capital to enter new markets, increase production capacity, and enhance your product offerings. Scaling requires careful planning and execution. So, be strategic in your approach. Continuously evolve your performance and be ready to pivot if necessary. The goal is to be ready and basically to grow sustainable while maintaining the quality and integrity of your business. So these three were the points that we should do in the scenario of post-funding strategies. Next is Q&A session. So over here, this is a bit different Q&A session. Over here, we'll see the most doubts or the most questions that usually people have when they actually attend the webinar. So it's how do I find the right investors for my startups? A very good question that we have. So the answer to this is that start by researching investors who have previously funded startups in your industry because they understand the industry, the market, and the potential customers and the demographics. So these things are actually known by your investor. So for that, you have to attend networking events, join startup incubators, and use online platforms like LinkedIn and AngelList to connect with potential investors. The second question is what are some common mistakes to avoid during fundraising? So the common mistakes include not preparing through thoroughly, lacking a clear business plan, overvaluing the startup, and failing to communicate effectively with investors. And for that, you have to always be prepared and transparent in your communications. So the common mistake that we understood over here is there are a lot of information and the main bulletin points that we actually miss when we actually create our business plan. So that could be any of the MVP of your product, or that could be your profits. So you have to be clear about that, like what exactly you have to mention and how you're going to communicate that, how you're going to tell that what exactly you did and what are the benefits to the society uh, if we launch this product for the market and in the market. Now, question number three is how can I effectively use the funds after securing investments? Now I've got the funds. Now, what exactly am I going to do after securing investment? So the answer to that is prioritize spending on key growth areas like product development, marketing, and talent acquisition. So basically, spend on the team and acquiring all those invest on those areas where you actually find good return on investment and regularly track your expense and ensure you're achieving milestones as planned. Okay, now we are about to conclude our webinar. So let's see what all other things that we studied or the topics that we have covered. So we understood different types of funding stages. Then we saw uh, preparation for fundraising. So we understood what exactly is fundraising, the different types of stages, and preparation for those stages. Then since we prepared, so after that we got in types of investors. So basically we have different investors in different fundraising stages. So after that, we moved to approaching investors. Like we got to know to whom we actually have to approach. Now, how will we approach? What we have to communicate? We saw that in approaching investors. And the throughout process, when you actually uh, meet the investor till the closing point. So we saw that in negotiation and closing the deal. And after that, we saw post-funding strategies. So we actually got to know the funding stages, preparation for fundraising, type of investor, and how to invest that particular investor, how to talk them, how to close the deal, how to post evaluate your performance, or what will be the approach for post-funding strategy. So that's the thing. We actually saw in post-funding strategy, what will be the approach after you got the deal? And then we saw Q&A session where we saw the most questions that is actually asked by people. People have doubts in those three questions a lot. So yeah, that was it. And before ending this session, I actually have a community which I've built for entrepreneurs. And I would like to invite you all to join that, learn from here, and explore. So I'll do one thing. This is the community's name, that is Entrepreneur Short. So you can directly click and access this link. Also, we'll do one thing on YouTube in the description or in the comment box. You'll get the link to the group or the community. You can join and actually learn a lot from this. And I would like to invite you all to join this community. So yeah, that was it. And now I would like to end the sessions. So yeah, that was it. Thank you, ma'am.
Thank you so much for this very nice session. If any has any question, you can ask.
Yes, if anyone has some doubt, they can go ahead.
I think no one have any questions, sir. Thank you so
Okay,
much,
no,
all the participants.
yes. So actually, I would like to share a link with everyone so that they can join the community of entrepreneurship. So I've dropped in the comment section. So what I want you is to share with people so that they can join and they can learn a lot from this community. So that was it from my side.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, thank you so much, ma'am. Yeah. Thank you, everyone.